Canadian 262 Heavy, wind calm, runway 31 left, clear for takeoff, caution wake turbulence, previous departure, Heavy 777.
As jets grew in importance, it was also realized that some communities would never support a full-size jet. Into that void stepped the regional aircraft. Today we love to hate the CRJ or ERJ, but they serve as a very important link to many communities worldwide. De Havilland Canada, later Bombardier, is credited with creating the regional jet market, but they also produced many prop liners that served and still serve as vital links to communities. The DHC-5 Buffalo and DHC-6 Twin Otter are usually associated with cargo, but they also serve as passenger planes for small towns all over the world, where their unique short takeoff and rough landing ability means the difference between having service and not having service. In this role, the de Havilland aircraft are joined by the Pilatus PC-6C, capable of high altitude, short field takeoffs. The PC-6C links people in far-flung communities to the web of global aviation and allowing people to travel to far-flung locales they otherwise would not. De Havilland Canada realized that the Twin Otter was too small for the regional airline market. So they developed the DHC-7, or Dash 7, using 4 engines and larger props, allowing them to decrease the noise. The DHC-7 was still a highly capable short takeoff and landing aircraft, but few airlines truly needed that STOL ability. The extra engines meant higher maintenance and fuel costs, so while the DHC-7 is a great STOL aircraft, it was not as successful as it could have been. Not all regionals need to be so rough and ready. The Dash 8 Q202 is able to serve the smaller communities that don't need the ruggedness of the DHCs or Pilatus. Serving many communities, the Q202 meant even little towns with a paved runway might see service from an airline. The BAE 146 did much the same with a small jet. It also allowed slightly larger communities to see higher frequency due to the smaller load of the aircraft. From the regionals, we moved to a plane that attempted to bridge the gap between the regional and the large mainline aircraft. The Boeing 717 was too big to be a proper regional, but too small to feel like a proper mainline plane. It suffered from competition from Bombardier's CRJ and Embraer Air's ERJ, but it has still found a strong niche among a few airlines that have used it to great success. With a similar type rating to the MD-80 and the DC-9, allowing pilots to be used more fluidly in certain large airlines. We are now up to aircraft that have helped shrink the larger world instead of those that brought the larger world to the smallest towns. McDonnell Douglas's swan song in commercial aviation was disappointing to the company, but still serves all over the world in cargo capacity and with KLM for passengers. The MD-11 introduced many features to the venerable DC-10 line, but failed to impress airlines who found the twin-jet offerings from Boeing and Airbus more than capable at a lower fuel flow rate. Maligned like the MD-11, the A340 was a sibling to Airbus's twin-jet A330. It was to serve ultra-long-haul routes that didn't need the capacity of the 747. But the introduction of the 777, capable of serving the same flight profile on a lower fuel flow, doomed the A340 quad-jet, and it ceased production in early 2000s. The 777 has become a strong competitor for Boeing, not just against Airbus's offerings, but also against its own 747 product. Capable of ultra-long-range flight profiles using a more economical capacity and fuel flow, the 777 has become a standard of the long-range market for most airlines around the world. while Boeing followed a point-to-point strategy, creating aircraft to fly long, thin mission profiles. Airbus went the opposite route. They created an aircraft for a hub-flow strategy to move large numbers of people through central hubs. To that end, they brought about the world's first fully double-decker jetliner, the A380. Capable of a higher passenger load than the then-offered 747-400, the A380 was a huge aircraft that challenged not just Airbus, but airports, airlines, and regulatory agencies. The A380 introduced the ATC called Super Heavy to the lexicon of aviation, but has also revitalized major hubs in the Middle East, allowing high-load hubs and long-haul flights. Continuing on their point-to-point strategy, Boeing introduced the fastest-selling wide-body to date, the 787 Dreamliner. Leaning on technology from military applications, the 787 is a completely new type of aircraft for Boeing. Designed for highly efficient operations, long-haul flights, and thin routes that would not be economical on the larger 777, the 787 is opening new markets that previously would not exist, such as Denver to Tokyo, Boston to Tokyo, and London to San Antonio. While it suffered from various issues, if it regains the trust of airlines and passengers, it will likely shrink the world yet again. For all this talk about shrinking the world, we are only shrinking it by allowing connections. To truly shrink the world, we would have to go back to a plane that many in the aviation community regard with a special kind of love. Concorde. London to New York in 3.5 hours shrunk the world in a way we only dream of today. Riding above the storms, surfing the stratosphere, moving at twice the speed of sound. Concorde made the term hopping the pond a reality like no other jetliner. Uneconomical in the best of times, she was a prestige plane more than a financially viable aircraft. But for almost 28 years, there was nothing faster, nothing louder, nothing higher, and nothing with a wow factor like Concorde. In much of the community, she's still viewed as the pinnacle of commercial aviation. While it didn't shrink the world, the Beechcraft Starship certainly redefined the look and construction of commercial aircraft. Built in the 1970s of carbon fiber, the Starship's unique look made her an object of curiosity. She was shaped for efficiency. Many issues doomed the Starship, but the iconic look of the aircraft certainly shows the evolution of commercial planes and the capability of carbon fiber. Sometimes the ugliest, ungainliest aircraft are the most important. When we think of military aircraft, we think of the sleek, fast, deadly fighters dancing through the air. Sometimes we think about the bombers delivering a load of raining death. But these are just two of the many aircraft in the military. Military transport aircraft often were derived from, or the basis of, their commercial counterparts in the early days. Today, many state dignitary aircraft are still modified commercial aircraft. But some military transports look nothing like a commercial plane, though they operate in much the same flight envelope. The C-119 flying boxcar is a unique prop transport for its look, but it served as a vital part of the military airlift command for many years before being replaced. It also straddled the fence into an attack aircraft as the AC-119, the first cargo plane-based gunship. The C-130 Hercules replaced the C-119 and is, still today, a venerable, rugged airframe with a large mission profile. From search and rescue to transport, from Arctic operations to desert gunship, the C-130 has proved itself a highly adaptable airframe, capable of meeting needs of air forces and commercial cargo operators around the world. Strap a couple of J-toes on a C-130 and watch a Blue Angel pilot perform a dance in a large cargo aircraft. Truly shows the adaptability of the C-130 Hercules.